Okay, let's go ahead and get into the stock market technical analysis. We'll just look at the broad markets and some individual trade ideas. We'll go ahead and wrap up. If you guys are finding value in the content, please drop me a thumbs up. I do appreciate it. Let's get right into the chart. So, triple Qs, obviously it's been, so far a V bottom recovery. And, we had the big drop on that bearish engulfing candle on the daily chart. We fell basically right to the 200-day moving averages, undercutting those, especially in the pre-market. I did post out to the private member group that I was covering all my shorts, and I flipped long Monday morning, August the 5th. We rode that bounce up, and I started to close out those long trades and starting to scale back into the shorts. I believe it was right around 455-ish on the triple Qs where I started to I closed out the longs and started to scale into the shorts. Now, by scale, that typically means, take a 25% position, kind of add to it, because I didn't expect it to fully just turn around right there. I could see it going higher, and it has. And as it's gone higher, I added into those positions up to about 460. And then from there, I have not really been adding, I have not added any short positions. And really at this point, we're continuing to rally. So now I'm starting to, look at maybe starting to scale out of the short position, kind of average out on the losses. Just like I averaged in, I'd look to average out because I still can see this thing turning down. I don't want to be, if it does turn down, because it's very extended. Let's just put it that way. We're eight days on an uptrend straight up without any kind of a pullback. So it's very, very extended, and I can easily see a big gap down or a move down. I wouldn't want to be completely out of my short position if that's going to take place. Now, as of this morning, I did take off about 25% of my short position, and I'm going to go home with that. I'm going to go home with just, the remainder. Just again, scaling out. If we continue to go higher, I'll continue to scale out till I'm basically out of the short trade, because really much higher. There's a gap right here on the daily chart. It's about 480. All right, we're filling that gap today. It's pretty much filled, and so any higher from here, which to me it doesn't seem like it's very likely, but it's possible. You start to get daily closes from here. You're very likely going to go go put in a double top or pop up and make new highs. All right. So it wouldn't make sense to ride out shorts if we're going to go see a double top up around 503 or new highs. I don't want to remain short. So again, the trades, it's been good. We've had a little bit of give back over the last couple of days, but in general, we caught most of this short and we flipped long, caught a good chunk of that long. I mean, just the long from the lows up to there is a 7% bounce just on that long. And that's after catching a big chunk of that move to the downside short. So, and then scaling in, if you went 100% hard short right there at that 455, which I did not, I scaled in, you'd be down about 5% on that. So not even giving back the bounce trade that we caught on the lows. You'd be giving back a chunk of it, but not all of it. And again, if you're scaling in, you're down a lot less than that. Let's say about 3% or so. So it's within reason to swing trading ranges. All right, catch the down move, catch the bounce, scale in. It hasn't turned yet. I do think it's going to happen soon, but we just haven't got that turn yet, and it's very extended. So it's not a time to be going long. All right, it's not an objective time. You can go long if you want, but definitely not an objective time to go long. The objective time to go long was back when we were undercutting those 200s. All right, just like a lot of people want to go short when you're breaking down, this was the time to go long. Now, I still view this as a objective time to go short. Let's look at the hourly chart on the triple Qs. Hourly chart, you can see we're kind of wedging, starting to wedge out right here at the highs. Negative divergence is there on the hourly, just barely. So it's not super well defined, but it is there. So I think it makes sense we're going to get a pullback soon because the market's been trending. Basically every day we have had just a trend day for the last, for the last 5 or so days. It's really just been trend days straight up. without any pullbacks. If I go down to the 5-minute chart, you can see bearish rising wedge is showing up now on the 5-minute. You've got it kind of right there, and we're just wedging. So we're at the apex of the wedge, and we're filling that gap. Again, this is another objective area, 480. We're filling that gap. We're at the apex of the wedge. We should get a pullback, gap down or something. The Fed's this week, so you're going to have, there should be some volatility showing up, and it does look like we're at or near the end of this run. Again, we continue going higher and keep getting daily closes beyond that 480 level. I'll just continue to scale out. So that's my plan right now. That's been my plan all along. When I entered these short trades, I kind of talked about how I'd like to enter the trade and how I'd like to exit. Obviously preferable exit is on a profit, but not all trades go in your favor. And I did talk about scaling out of the trade if we continue to go higher. So now, if we do turn and we do actually start to sell off, which, I think is the higher probability, doesn't mean it, we can extend some more days. They might want to just continue to ramp this thing into the Fed, and we can look at that. But if we do turn, then, though, as of right now, I don't see a large pullback right ahead of the Fed. I think if you're going to get a big pullback, it's likely going to be after the Fed comes out and talks. And so that might be next week. But I could see a small pullback maybe starting down to maybe about 469.75 or so, which would be that trend line that on the daily chart. That trend line's been recovered. So I think a pullback down to the trend line, and then they'll try to probably park it there and hold that trend line. Nvidia being really the stock that, as from what I can tell, is kind of carrying this market, but it's definitely, it's the large cap tech stocks. That's what's going on. They sold off pretty aggressively. I mean, Nvidia from the highs, we had this bearish engulfing that we pointed out right there. And from the highs, Nvidia was down 34%. Okay, so you're going to have dip buyers come in and buy something when it's down 34%. And sure enough, they did. And it's rallying. Now, there was this potential trend line. I marked it out. I pointed it out to the private member group, but I did state that it's only potential. It's not a valid trend line until we see a reaction. We had 1 reaction, 2 reactions, and I was, maybe there was going to be a 3rd reaction, but again, it wasn't there, so it's just potential. And we don't really have the reaction now, so can't really call it a trend line. Now, if you look at the daily chart, maybe we'll get a pullback and they'll give us a 3rd reaction on the daily and you get kind of a sell down. That's possible, but 20 minutes left in the day, so you'd have to see it kind of sell off into the close. So we'll see. It's, again, just a potential trend line. Oh, and then also you look on the hourly chart, there is this uptrend line here to watch on Nvidia. You got 1, 2, there's a 3rd reaction. So a break of that would also be a sell signal. We don't have that yet, but things to watch for. Negative divergence is just barely there on the hourly chart. So something to keep an eye out for. And then if you go to the 15-minute chart, you can see it's there on the PPO and not really there on the RSI. So again, not a whole lot to, not a lot of sell signals quite yet today. We're very extended, but doesn't mean we can't remain extended for a few days. So Meta, this one's still an objective short. It's holding up, and it's probably going to continue to hold up until you see the market turn and Nvidia turn and things like that. But you can see daily chart, support. We broke, back test 1, broke, back test 2, and it's just, we're just testing resistance over the last couple days. A little bit of selling pressure over the last few days, but in general, kind of just flat. So. But it's an objective short. It can pop up and hit the trend line, though. From here up to the trend line would be about another 3.5% or so up there. And it could do that because from what I can tell over the next couple of days, we could just grind around. And if we're going to grind around and hold up, you're going to see these things kind of pop up and probably test resistance some more. So something to watch for there. Apple, again, testing, it's really gone nowhere. I mean, you look at the last 3 days, and we're just basically flat. Down slightly today, up a little bit on Friday. flat on Thursday. It's nowhere. So it's at resistance. Again, I'd be looking for that rejection. We need to see it though, and that's really, it's kind of a waiting game now. Microsoft's still holding this trendline support. Microsoft, if I rally, if I go like that, I got to narrow it down to the hourly chart. On the hourly, yeah, you can see, well, it's slightly below. Let me kind of tighten that up just a little bit, slightly below, but so we're probably going to just kind of drift around in a lot of these stocks, and then maybe Nvidia can continue to run, which would continue to kind of pump the triple Qs up. Amazon, again, no real change over the last couple of days, sitting at resistance. All right, and that's it. So several of the large cap tech stocks are sitting at resistance, not going anywhere, and then there's a couple others, like today it's Tesla and Nvidia, kind of retail stocks basically are just pumping, and so the triple Qs is kind of moving up, but we're not seeing all of them move up, where it's kind of a grind right now. Also, look at the volume. It's funny, I'm just noticing it now, but the triple Qs volume, this is the lowest volume we've seen since about, going back when they were really near the highs. All right, we saw this kind of pump right here, and the volume was extremely low, and we're seeing extremely low volume today, almost like half day volume, like holiday trading volume today. So low volume doesn't mean short. We can continue to grind higher, but it does mean that there's really not institutional buying happening right now. It's mostly just retail is what's going on. So yeah, I think the turn is near, but until we see it, we can continue to float higher. I don't want to be short. If we continue to go higher and get daily closes higher, we'll start to scale out of shorts and just look for the next opportunity. Otherwise, if we do get that sell-off, we'll have some short exposure, and we'll look to hit some support levels. GDX rallying today. Again, we don't have any technical change, though, really. The big thing I'm looking for GDX would be the weekly chart. So on the weekly chart, we've got this big triangle marked out with red lines here. I've got resistance up top, support down below. A breakout on the weekly would indicate that the next trend is likely going to be up. We are, last week, again, my trend line is probably just slightly off. You got to give it a little bit of wiggle room on the weekly chart. I could probably even adjust it to be like that. So in general, I just don't see a weekly breakout yet. I see a rally into resistance. They sold it off, rally back into resistance. Yes, you broke there last week, but it's not impulsive. You need to see an impulsive weekly breakout to confirm that on the weekly chart. We're above it right now, but this is a weekly chart. It's Monday, so we got to see where we're at on Friday. If you're going to take a breakout on a weekly chart, you really need to wait for the close of that weekly chart. So going down to the daily chart, you can see we're breaking out here, but it is a divergent high as of right now. They kind of equal highs, and it's negative divergence. So I think it's going to get sold into. I don't think it's going to be the breakout. If I see the breakout on the weekly, we'll change our tune and look for kind of buy the dip opportunities. But until then, with the divergence, it just doesn't seem like there's anything technically changing today. Obviously, they're up today, could be down tomorrow. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap the video up, keep it relatively short, get the video out, catch you guys.